All right, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Adobe Certified Associate course for InDesign, also known as ACA. So today I'm going to give you sort of just an introduction to the course. I realize we're on the last day of the first week, so that gives you 2 more full weeks with the materials before we have the exam on Friday, I believe it's the 3rd, Friday the 3rd. So I'm going to walk you through the D2L course site, which has all the materials up now. Give you my contact information, so if you have questions, and then show you kind of how to pace yourself and what things to look for, what will be on the exam, and so forth. So once you sign into D2L, you should see in your courses, you should have already been added to the training site for the ACA Adobe Creative Cloud training. If you don't see this when you log into D2L, you may have to navigate, like click here left and right to see it. May have to go all the way over to the left to see it. Make sure you can find that. So you click on that, and it'll take you into the site itself. Now we're using this one site to deliver all of our ACA courses. That includes the Premiere Pro, which some of you may have already taken, the Photoshop, which I know some of you are also enrolled in, and InDesign. Now, so some of these announcements here, like this is something that Stacy and Patrick had posted when they first put up the Premiere Pro content. For now, what you guys need to be concerned with is come up here to content. Okay, once you get into content, you'll see here along the left side you got the table of contents. If that's selected, you can scroll all the way down and see all the courses laid out here that are currently active, and the ones that you'll probably be only be able to see the ones that you are enrolled in. So if you didn't take Premiere Pro, you won't be able to see these. If you're not taking Photoshop, you won't be able to see that one. But Illustrator we have not offered yet. That's just a shell. This is the one for our course, Adobe InDesign. So if you select that tab there, it will bring you to this. And actually, I'm going to change this. Bear with me just a second. I'm going to view as student so you guys can see what it looks like from your point of view. Okay, so we're here in Adobe InDesign. Now you'll see here along the top I've got some basic information. There's my email. You can email me if you have questions. My office is in 519 F Wharf Pickle. You can come by and see me. I'm usually on campus 3-4 days a week. I can also set up a WebEx appointment if you need to talk or have a question. So as I said, this is a 3-week training course. It's self-paced. However, I can see sort of like, how there's a function on here that allows me to see how much you guys are progressing. So I'll be checking periodically to see, if you're working your way through materials. I suggest staying ahead of it, as I said in the email that I sent out before, because if you get too far behind, it's really just, this test is not easy. So if you wait till the end and try to cram, it's not going to be really feasible to pass. So start early and kind of pace yourself. All right, so here if we scroll down, you can see I've got the different sub-modules. So we've got the syllabus, which I'll show you in a second. Then there are 7 modules that I've laid out that you can, as you click each one of these, they'll show up over here. And then I've got a link to the practice exam information. So let's just work our way through each one of these. All right, so the course syllabus, if you click here, I try to keep it pretty brief and only information that you needed. So course description lays out the course goals. So in addition to understanding the InDesign software, which is of course the main goal of this certification, is to make sure you're competent in the technical proficiencies of InDesign. There are also some questions that have to do with copyright, fair use, working with clients, some things that are more to do with the business of layout, publishing, and print design instead of just the software. There's not a whole lot of that, but there are a few questions, and I'm trying to include some information in the curriculum to cover that. But most of it is to do with the software itself. So learning outcomes, this is from Adobe itself. So these are the things that you need to know to pass the ACA certification exam, specific to InDesign in this case. So I'm not going to read those to you. I'll let you go down and read through those. So here's the course modules, and I've designed the course modules with a couple things in mind. One being what you need to know for the test, and then 2, pulling together resources that have been created by Adobe and others that will best cover what is required here. So I've organized and paced the course according to the things you need to know. I've worked my way through the course myself, obviously, and estimated how much time it is going to take you to get through this. Now, this 8 hours is a conservative number. That's not accounting for if you look at some of the optional resources and materials that I've posted. That's just kind of like the bare minimum. So I would say at least 8 hours, probably more than that. So if you divide that out by 3 weeks, you can kind of set your own schedule and pacing. So in module 1, which I've estimated, and I've broken it down by module here too, hopefully that helps you out. 45 minutes getting started with InDesign. The first part of this too also goes over some copyright, fair use, Creative Commons. What's the difference? I can tell you there probably, almost certainly will be a question about this on the exam. Then it gets you into just the workspace, setting up your workspace, the basic functions of opening a new document, moving around some key elements. So getting started in InDesign module 1. Then we'll go into adding and formatting text in module 2. Adding and transforming graphics, applying color and effects, editing content and organizing with layers, multi-page documents, and then interactivity and publishing, sharing documents. If you haven't taken an ACA exam already, whether it's Premiere Pro or the one you will take next week with Ms. Fannin, the tests, the way they're laid out, I'll show you this in one of the practice exams here in a minute. They're multiple choice and also task-based. So when you open the exam, it will open InDesign, a version of InDesign. It is InDesign. It's created for the test, but it looks just like regular InDesign, and will give you a series of tasks to complete. So again, I'll show you that. Okay, attendance, participation, obviously it's 3 weeks, self-paced. The test itself, both the practice and the actual, is 40 questions. You have 50 minutes to complete it. So you can actually mark questions. So if you get stuck on one, you can mark it and then come back to it at the end, which is very helpful. To schedule a practice exam, contact me. Please do that no later than 3 or 4 days before the actual exam, so I can get you set up. And you can. The good thing about the practice exam, obviously you want to make your way through all of the training materials, the videos, before you take the practice exam. But what really is helpful about taking it is not just measuring what you've already learned, but then identifying what you still need to go back and focus on. Because a lot of the things you don't think will be in the exam will be in there. And by taking the practice exam, you say, oh, okay, I need to go back. I didn't really pay attention to that part, or I need to be more detail-oriented and focused on this one. So that's really one. So don't wait until like the day before the final exam to take the practice exam. Take it the beginning or the middle of the last week, so that way it gives you time to kind of gauge where you're at and then go back and revisit some of the materials. Okay, and then this is just boilerplate stuff, diversity, and if you need accommodations, please let me know. We can do that through Certiport and ACA if you have something to take care of there. Let's see. Okay, so that's all the time I'll spend on that. So you can navigate back to the course design or the course module up here, Adobe InDesign. Okay. As you can see, as you progress through the course, it will show you how many topics. Each one of these sub-modules is called a topic. So as you go through each one of these, it will track what links you've clicked on and what percentage of the entire course that you have finished. So don't click on, for some reason, it's a weird glitch type thing. If you click on materials here, of course, gives you an overview in the time. If you click on materials, it doesn't show up anything. I'm not sure why. So if you do that and you just to navigate, come over here instead and click on the side over here, so module 1, and then it will bring up the actual materials and content. I don't know why that is. Okay, so I'm not going to go through every single one of these, but they're all structured the same, and I'm just going to give you an idea how the course is laid out. So as I said for module 1, in addition to getting started with the software, there is also some information on copyright and fair use. So for example, in this first section, I break it down, bold, and then bullet points. I have links to external sites, and everything I use, of course, is either Creative Commons or we have gotten permission to use it if it's copyrighted. So everything is okay there. So watch this video. This is, for example, produced by Common Sense Education. It's a very brief video, 2 minutes and 45 seconds, on the difference between copyright and fair use. Almost all of the videos that we post on here are relatively short, and as you can see down here, when we get into the ones with InDesign, they're super high quality. They're done by professionals at Adobe, And in parentheses I've given the length, so you can, if you're trying to pace yourself, say I want to do 2 or 3 at a time. This one's just 4 minutes and 16 seconds in length. It's nice because you don't have to like search through a 30-minute video to find what you're looking for. They're very clearly identified what's in each video, and they're short chunks, which is very helpful. So the two main types of content I have are videos and then PDF documents, which are mostly from Adobe as well, and these are by Creative Commons. So some of the content on here will overlap, but I wanted to provide as many resources as possible in different ways. People learn different ways. Some people prefer videos, some do text better. Just do all of it, and then that way because some things in the video are not included in the text, and then vice versa. This, for example, I'm helping you out on a couple of them. Okay, so this, I literally just did a screenshot in the practice exam, because just to give you an example. So you'll have to like drag, they're in a random order over here on the left side. You'll drag over to match the correct definition. This, the way I have them arranged here, is correct. And this is a question on the practice exam. So that gives you an idea of like some of the things you have to click. This one is not obviously multiple choice, but you have to click and drag to match them. All right. Here's working with clients. There are some questions about best practices for working with clients. So very brief review that. All right, so the majority of the content though in our curriculum is all hosted on this one series of websites through the Adobe Education Exchange. So when you click on this, you'll see that there is a link at the top where you can download a series of zipped files. Now, you don't, I guess, have to download the files and follow along, but obviously you learn, or most people learn better when they actually do something as they're watching the video. If you do have a lot of experience with InDesign already and you feel like you can just follow along by watching the videos, you don't necessarily have to download the files and follow, but it just gives that added layer of practice. So visit this webpage. Okay, so as you can see, the title up here, it matches Getting Started with InDesign, matches what I've got here, Getting Into the Software. There's 4 videos on that page with the varying links here, and as you scroll down, there's the first one, Create a New Document. They're just embedded in here, which is nice. So you can create a new document, you can play. It's just 4 minutes and 16 seconds. Okay, gives you the basic idea here. Then another nice thing is underneath it shows you what you learned. So if you want like a quick way, if you're going back to say trying to find something, maybe you take the practice exam and you're like, oh, I don't remember where that is. You can come back and look and see, okay, where did they cover that in the what you learned section. Scroll down, save your documents, same thing, what you learned. 3, get around in InDesign. 4, zoom and pan. Okay. Now, in every one of these modules here, I also have a section called Other or Optional Resources. For the most part, on every one of these, the content of these are all PDF documents, like how-to, step-by-step guides that cover the same things that you learn in the videos. I've included them because a lot of people prefer to learn instead of listening to somebody talk and watching a video. Maybe you prefer to like read the document and see how it's done that way. So this overview of InDesign, which is very helpful. It's a pretty lengthy document. Not all of them are. Since this is the overview, it's longer. Most of the documents are only a few pages long. But as you can see, very nicely laid out from Adobe, Creative Cloud Guide. You can download assets. These actually have different assets and practice files in different, but it goes over a lot of the same things as in the video. That one's pretty extensive. I don't want to scare you off. That was a longer one. So InDesign document setup. So this one is much shorter, but it gives you just 1, 2, 3, 4, very simple laid out, creating a document from scratch and all the different elements in the control panel. Honestly, I said optional because these to me are more effective without getting too much in the weeds and too detailed. If you watch these videos, you should be okay, but if you take the practice exam and find that there's some things that you're missing or not understanding, these are good reference points also. In a couple of the modules, maybe I can go through and identify. In a couple of the modules, there's some content that is here that is not included up here. Okay, so Module 1, Getting Started with InDesign. Module 2, Adding and Formatting Text. Some of these modules are more extensive than the other ones. This is one of the larger ones. So there's 2 different sections here. Adding text, the different videos, which is, again, on that same, it's all the same suite on the same web page, but they're different sites. Same thing, scroll down, there they are. These are excellent videos, they really are. The guy who does these does an amazing job pacing and just covering everything that you need to know. Then formatting text. Again, some optional resources. Module 3, a little bit shorter, adding and transforming graphics. Module 4, applying color and effects. 5, editing content and working with layers. This one again is a little bit more extensive. 6, multi-page documents. And I know this seems like a lot, but it's honestly not. I mean, it takes some time to get through it, but InDesign, for me anyways, InDesign is one of the more intuitive programs. There are some things that are a little bit more obscure that you'll notice when you take the practice exam. That's just to make sure that the certification means something, that you know how to get into the details of the program and do things that other people with a cursory knowledge of it don't know how to use. Interactivity, this is a big one. There are a lot of questions on interactivity, so make sure and spend some time on this one. That's like adding hyperlinks, exporting as a EPUB document or as publishing online. Okay, then this last submodule is information about the actual exam and the practice exam. So, of course, our actual exam is Friday, May 3rd, 12:35 to 1:35 in Wharf Pickle 419. So I'll be there. Stacy and Patrick will probably be there also. Be early. Okay, this is when the actual exam, we're going to start it. So please be there. I'll send out an email to remind you, but be there, 15, 20 minutes early so we can get you set up in Certiport. The practice exam you take in Gmetrics, but the actual exam you take in Certiport, so we'll have to create an account, and that'll take a few minutes. So be about 15, 20 minutes early. I have highlighted here, do a practice test. Come down here with to do that. Same thing, if you click here, it doesn't do anything for whatever reason. It doesn't show me. I'll have to figure out why that's doing that. But if you click down here on the left side, practice exam, don't click this. This is on the very bottom. This is what Stacy and Patrick did for the Premiere Pro. Instead, click here on your practice exam, final exam, under InDesign. And then Gmetrics practice exam on the left. Okay, scroll up. So this gives you a bullet point how to sign up for an account on Gmetrics. It gives you the code, how to do that. If you try to do it and you're having questions, don't know how to do it, just email me and I can help you out. Again, do this like the beginning of the third week or the middle of the third week at the latest. One note here, or a couple notes, but more important one is that when you log into Gmetrics and to take an exam, you can take either the 2015 or the 2018 version. Do the 2018 version unless for some reason you don't have access. 2015 will work. It's not quite as matched up with the current Certiport actual exam. 2018 is better, but continue on to do that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Now the next thing that you need to do, I think that pretty much gives you an overview of what's available on the D2L site. As you start working through these, if you have questions, please do let me know. I did opt actually in the beginning I had a little section over here for a study guide, but honestly, for me, when I've worked my way through the course, the best way to learn and then identify what's going to be actually on the test, go through all of these. Take notes as you go. If you don't know something, write it down, like to go back and revisit it. Take the practice exam. As you're taking the practice exam, you can put it in training mode, which even though there's a timer on it, when it gets to the end of the 50 minutes, it'll still let you continue working. So you can take your time going through it, and then write down as you're taking the practice exam the things that you don't know how to do. Then after you take the practice exam, you have that list of things you don't know how to do well. Spend some time going back, even do some Google searches in YouTube. If you can't find it on here, or if you need to go in a little bit more detail, be resourceful. I mean, there's a ton of information and resources on here, but don't feel like you just have to stay in here. Go onto Adobe Education Exchange or YouTube, and there's nothing wrong with finding YouTube videos to figure out how to do something if you don't know how to do it. I think that's all for now. Email me if you got questions, and good luck.